that no one has seen someone have an interstitial slide with motion before? Now, if anyone is having trouble hearing me, let me know. I'll use the microphone, but I tend not to do so. I was going to use the whole stage. If I'm standing in front of that word I'm talking about, and my face looks weird because of the light, please feel free to let me know. So, I'm glad you all came to stand-up night, because that is the feeling I get. But I'm here to talk about what I've titled Adversarial Engineering. So I work in cybersecurity, obviously, that's what I say. But the theory of this talk is that in security you should always be more worried about the entropy than the adversary. You should be more worried about things breaking down and crumbling over time than fixating on the person trying to get in. Or, what that says, trick shots are not a good defense strategy. Too many people talk about security and think that it's always down to some fancy hacker. Doesn't really make that much difference in the long run. So, I'm not yellow, I'm normally in yellow. Oh. You'll get that in a moment. So, who am I? Pearce, you figured that out by now. I'm a senior security consultant at Cisco. So, the business-friendly definition is I help people make good security decisions. At parties, I'm a professional computer hacker. And my wife sends robot submarines to look at underwater volcanoes. What do you do? Never lead with that. Ask them first. What that means is that... Oh yeah, I told you that. But there's a Twitter handle. Yell at it. People tend to do that. And it's down at the bottom if you forget through most of the slides. So as we talk through security, as we're going through oh! I have to show everyone that photo. I have to show everyone that photo. That was me at WITcon in 2015. It was taken by Christina, who... There we go! There she is! The person whose photo I have massively abused, but I try and give her credit. Because seriously, Grandma, did that really happen? Like, how do you get a better photo than that? What you can't see here is that has the word no across the entire slide. And I'm jumping, and that is real fire. Life is weird. So a year ago, oh no, it gets weirder. A year ago, I was talking to a goldfish in front of 6,500 people in Las Vegas, having just looked at an eclipse. Like, what is my life? Security has, I'm unfortunate that it has taken me a lot of places. But it's not all the sexy stuff that we think. So, everything keeps getting hacked. Things keep getting leaked. Things keep getting breached. You've probably been popped in more than a few times. At a minimum, you've had friends post things on Facebook, and you're like, it doesn't look right. But, quite likely, you've been locked out of things, and you're not sure why. So, you've been hacked as well. But why? So we talk about insecurity, often people are going on about the adversary. The people who are trying to get in, the people who are trying to get your data, because security isn't just one of those things, but it's all of them. What do I mean by them? I mean these other things, which I'll explain. Adversary, who is trying to get in. Complexity, your ability to manage the things in front of you, your ability to not manage the things in front of you. And whatever the third one is, which I've totally forgotten. Entropy! Things breaking down, the inevitable heat death of the universe early. Because every one of these things gives you a different set of issues to deal with. So you combine adversary and entropy. If you don't patch your system, this person uses it to get in. Complexity and adversary. You don't know what's going on, you do not know what is on your network, they use it to get in. Entropy and complexity is why your IT team quits, but that's where you give people a job that is undoable. You'll see, here's 10,000 systems, and Dave. And Dave just quit. Oh, hi! Do you want a job? We'll pay you 20% below market rate. Because you're a woman, and that does happen. So we've got those three things. But I'd argue we focus too much on the adversary part of it, the bit we can least control. Because making one thing work as designed and intended is hard. Anyone who's done a project, anyone who's written anything, code, or even a document knows that. Making one thing perfect is hard. When you're trying to make multiple things work, it's not so easy. And let's throw some mind-bending numbers. Complexity is unescapable, multidimensional. There's all of these things. Stop buzzing at me. And, whoa. Like, seriously. It's hilarious. That is not the best thing I had. The best thing I had was at a talk in Knoxville a couple of months ago where it started playing back, the sound from a little while ago, quite loudly. For 4 minutes. And my drink was empty. So, oh, wow, that's magical, thank you. So we've got these three things, and we can't make them work together because of this complexity and all of the different aspects of it. We can't understand it, we can't manage it, and we can't control it. So let's take some simple maths. It's not linear. If you've got say you've got two systems, there's one way to connect them, A to B. If you've got three, you've got A to B, B to C, A to C. So you've also got A to B and C, and none of them together. So it starts exploding. You take n systems, 2, 200, 20,000, 2 million, and you start squaring it, you get up to 4 billion pretty quick. But that is not the world we deal with. That is not the complexity that we are trying to secure or manage. It is that one. 10 to the 600,000. To put that in perspective, there are only 10 to the 80 particles in the universe. And that number is too small, because there are 25 billion systems online now. I couldn't calculate that, the maths broke, everything I threw at broke, because it's like, no. Which is 10 to the 7.5 million. That's just combinations. It's 10 to the broke my brain combinations. How do we manage things that are that complex? And that's without looking inside them, that's just connecting them. This is absolutely ridiculous. So, there are 300 billion seconds in... I give up. No, seriously, I did that maths and my brain just could not handle it. And the thing is, even if you could magically manage this complexity, it doesn't matter. Because you can make something less insecure, you find a bug, you fix the bug, that does not make it more secure. Because you do not know the total number of bugs. There could be one, or there could be 10 to the 600, whatever it was. So how do you manage something like this? You don't. And security isn't about fixing bugs any more than medicine is about fixing illness. It's a part of it, but it's not enough. It's never enough on its own. And diligence beats coolness, because maintaining wellness is the key. As the terrible joke on my screen says, smoking will kill you, bacon will kill you, but smoking bacon will cure it. You're very lucky that's all the way over there, or you'd be inflicted with a lot more of these terrible jokes. But maintaining wellness is the key, and that's really, really hard. If we look at what within New Zealand is recommended, none of this is really the things we think of as security. It's patching things, it's updating things, turning it off if you don't need it. You don't need to go through the details, but none of that is what people are generally selling you. None of that is what universities are training you to do. They're training you to hack things. Why? Because people want to hack things, because it's cool. No, it's cool, seriously. When you're like, I'm going to hack, I can't name them. Famous pop star's fan site, and boom, I popped out 10 million credit cards, and wow, those are some weird email addresses with Daddy's credit card. It feels really good. But it doesn't necessarily advance the art. What advances the art is these things, these non-sexy things, that need to inform you to actually engineer, and not just build things and call it engineering. What I mean by that is you apply a design process, you understand your constraints, and you apply the design process to the constraints to an output. All too often what we call engineering, or software engineering, is literally throwing things at a wall until they stick in a pretty pattern, but you can never pull one off because then the wall falls over. But it's okay because that's Dave's problem. I'm I'm sorry if everyone called Dave. So we need to design for people, not at people. That's a really key thing. If people are using your system, design for them, don't design and shove it at them. This isn't just usability. What are you trying to accomplish? That seems insane. Okay, I'll help you with that. No, I think you're trying to accomplish this other thing, which I've solved. You laugh! But we see this all the time. So the problem is my employees aren't getting paid on time. Okay. I made a shell script to change the password. What? The password was wrong. What? Because we get ideas into our head, and those ideas are not usually a design or engineering-oriented approach, but are a technology approach. We are like, hi, I'm a hammer welder, engineer, a software person, I code things. We refer to ourselves as coders. We refer to ourselves by the tools we use. That's really unusual. You might hear about it with welders, but there aren't many other examples throughout society. No one says, I'm a steering wheeler. No one says, I use shoes very fast. But we say we're coders, and we expect people to understand what that means. It could mean you're really good at crosswords. Probably not, but that's a terrible example. And we need to design to manage risk, not eliminate it. We come in with these religious ideals to security saying, perfect security! Okay, I can't afford that. Okay, bye. But realistically, that's not going to happen. So look at the kawa tree. This is risk management in nature. This can be mathematically modeled. So a kawa tree has insects that eat it. It puts tannins into its leaves to make them less palatable to the insects. The insects don't like them. The more tannins it puts in, the fewer holes it gets. But also it grows slower because the one next door, not putting as much resource into that, but more into growth, gets ahead, grabs the sunlight faster. So it's a balance. If you put none in, you're eaten. If you put too much in, you're dead. It's a balance. It's managing risk, not eliminating it. And this comes all throughout everything we do in security. We need to design to manage that risk. Ooh, another joke. And we need to design failure into our systems. We need to manage the failure, not eliminate it. You don't want a bridge that's either going to stand or disappear into ash. You want it to sort of crumble and bend. But when we design software systems, that is literally often it either works or it doesn't. And when it doesn't work, it's very good at not working. And when it works, it's half competent. And so again and again, we need to design redundancy, which is hard because when you put redundancy into your systems, it becomes expensive. Because why would you pay for twice as much as you need? Well, because if you don't need it, it is a waste, like insurance. If you did need it, you needed it. But again and again, we put these really hypercritical systems in a really elegant, over-engineered, fragile way. Someone pokes it with a toothpick and it crumbles. But it was 4% cheaper, so we got the contract. Really cynical, but it happens all the time. And this stuff is not great recruiting material. No one wants to go and become a patch manager. But they will save the world. Please don't tweet that. Because almonds are good for when you want to have a healthy snack and when you want to stop having $12. Patches are good for when you want to actually get things working, but you want to lose 3 days of productivity. Unless something goes wrong, in which case you've lost everything. If you look at Pearce recently, there was a very good Wired story on this. They had a single server in Africa that was knocked out by a power cut that saved that company. They had 180 of them worldwide, all replicating to each other. A worm got in, spread between them, wiped every single one, apart from one that had fallen over. If that hadn't fallen over, we would not have that company. Look it up. Look up the NotPetya, N-O-T-P-E-T-Y-A, article in Wired very recently. again and again, we keep getting things which are saved by luck, which are not engineered, but just sort of haphazardly fell together. And we need to, again and again, solve the problems we have, not the problems we want. And especially not the problems that we think we deserve. So all the time I see people, oh, China's after us, or Iran's after us, or North Korea's after us. It's like, no, you just need to fire Dave. Maybe they are after you. But that's like going and saying, doctor, I think it's anthrax. You're missing a leg. No, it's anthrax, isn't it? We can't go dealing with things that we think are cool, we think are important. Because really, we're all living in a wider ecosystem. And we need to prepare for the problems, the hygiene that we think we have. We look at health. We all know, what is it? Exercise right, eat well, manage your stress. But what do? We eat terribly, we don't exercise. Stress! Why? Because we're human. And that's the way humans work. But if we acted the way too many security people do, you'd go to your doctor and your doctor would go, well, you know, eat right, exercise, manage your stress. See you in 3 months. What? But that sort of condescending thing happens all the time. We need to manage what we have, not what we think we want, not what we think we deserve, and not what is sitting on some pillar as perfection. But all too often that happens. And in the end, entropy is far deadlier than adversary. The things that you neglect, the things that fall down over time, right now lead to far more security issues than the things that are explicitly being targeted. If you are targeted, you're probably screwed. But if you're not being targeted, there are things you can do about it. But what we do all too often is focus on the thing that the targeted adversary, when really we need to patch your things, manage your assets, know what's on your network, know what's talking to what. This is not the stuff that makes movies. Patchman would be a terrible movie. Of course, with people coming thinking it was a gang thriller would be hilarious. But yeah, we need to stop focusing on the adversary. You cannot control who is after you as much as you can control what you're doing, what's in front of you. But again and again we do that. And I guess that's the end of my slides. Big numbers, boom. Anyone know why PowerPoint is always slower going in that direction? I have a theory, but anyway, focus on what you can change. Focus on maintaining that health and that wellness, not on who's after you. Don't emulate an attacker, emulate a responsible citizen. Not fun, but it gets things done. How's that for time? I wasn't cracking it.
Can you have some questions?
Sure, questions, I'll go. What's your question, Ruth? Boom, go.
Do you have any advice for people wanting to sort of get into cybersecurity, maybe with like a developer background or maybe even without any sort of different background?
So if you want to get into security, this is hard because there's the accepted answer, and that's what I'm going to give you. So the accepted answer would be to educate into it and to find a job. The fact is, in New Zealand right now, there are very few people hiring security people without experience. But these are the same companies that are going to educational institutions and saying, make this program, and we'll hire from it. And then they don't. What actually makes the difference is who you know and what you can prove in terms of portfolio, unfortunately. The hard part there is that it's not as accessible to minorities and women as it is to privileged groups. We don't get as much credit for going up and saying, here's my GitHub. We have to be twice as good if we go that route. So what you can do is you look for networks of people. You go to events. And you find a few people who are willing to give you a chance. Whatever their agenda is, irrespective of whether you think it's a diversity agenda. Trick is get that 12 months in, get that 24 months in. In New Zealand, if you like playing with security, there are quite a few events you could put yourself down for to speak. If that's the sort of thing you like to do. There's a lot of pressure towards that form of credibility raising. The majority of the security industry in Wellington and in New Zealand is hidden away in companies where they go in, they work, they do their job, they go home. But it's about 80 people who do a lot of speaking and a lot of going to things that are perceived as that. You need to find what you can to get to know those people who can point you to the opportunities in the rest. If you do want to be a pen tester or a breaker, that can definitely be done, but there's a lot of competition. If you're in an IT background, it's just going to be learning as much as you can about a lot of different tech and applying that to security. So learning about patching, user management, account password reset, firewall rules, logging, all of the stuff that operationally is how things get done. Our market has currently been, personal view, captured by pen testers and government regulators. Those are the current two people doing a lot of speaking. Pen testers talking about breaking everything proves and fixes things. And the government saying, here's this checklist, tick it off. So those are the easy paths, but they're not very good for progression at present. So go to all the things, talk to all the people, show off, talk yourself up. Bullshit, the guys sure are. I'm not even exaggerating. Just, if you think you can do that, say you can do 3 times as much, figure it out in the first week. That's what the way things are done. Like, don't go selling yourself short. Don't go not applying for things. Don't go not putting yourself in for a talk. Because if someone pulls you in and you're incompetent, that's not your fault, that's theirs. Do not filter yourself out. Anyone else? I'm sorry. Dave is a menace. Dave uses his work as an escape from his unfortunate home life. He comes into work, he sits at his desk, he turns on Netflix, and he clicks buttons. He picks up the phone and says, "Hi, IT, you try turning it off and on again?" Anyone else?
How did you get involved in?
I studied into it. I studied into it when Canterbury had a program, 2009. There is a couple of people in this room who did that too. That program did not survive the earthquake, it's entirely intact. But that was not where I succeeded. Where I succeeded was being able to learn fast, but getting my first job. So I went to university to do electrical engineering. I shifted to computer engineering, I shifted to computer science. I finished my master's in computer science and a security top. So I have a technical background. I literally took the first security-related job I got offered, and I used that to build networks. I got my boss on side. I went to the industry meetups for the types of technology and tools I was using. I talked to people. I made sure they knew who I am. The worst thing you can be is invisible, so I made sure everyone remembered me. No one forgets me. Because really, that's your safety. You never want to be the person no one knows. I went into consulting. I was very, very lucky to, within 12 months of that first job out of uni, end up in a consulting job, which was literally, here's an IP address, see you in 2 weeks with a report. It shouldn't have gone that way. But consulting has incredibly compressed timelines and experience sets. You either survive or you're out. Because you have to learn, deliver within a quick timeline. As a result, me doing that, then that company bought my multinational privilege. Take the privilege, weaponize it, beat people with it, whatever. As a result of that, I got a lot of experience in different organisations and different countries. That's not necessarily realistic in New Zealand. Unfortunately, if you want to compete in New Zealand with a lot of the people we have that have a lot of international experience, you have to consider that as a path you want to take for at least some time. I hate saying that. I wish we had those pathways here. But it's a global market. And any one of you is not competing with just New Zealand, you're competing with the world. So, find the opportunity. Everyone you get, look for more opportunities and jump. That doesn't mean you have to step on other people along the way. That's a personal choice. Let me rephrase. It's not something I do. It's not something I have done. But I have to be very careful not to encourage other people not to, because usually that means you end up telling women to not be ambitious, because the guys will be. Understand wherever you are, other people are playing a game. And just by playing a different game, you might be morally where you want to be. There's a choice you need to decide. But you're not always going to be on a level playing field if you're playing by different rules. So, how would you get into it? It's because there's no professionalization. Because there's no career path. You have people tell you can educate. That's it. That is an important thing. You need to have at least the bar. But women in particular, they get caught in this trap of going in more education, more education, more education. This guy he ain't got no education. Someone gave him a job for 85k. Why? Oh, because he's good to drink with. We have to take every opportunity we get. And this isn't just women, this is everyone. But when you take the opportunity, use it to give back. Because you'll find that you give people a leg up, 5 years from now they give you a leg up. It's a community. Everywhere is a community. Every person you talk to. Every person you don't talk to. It's exhausting. I'm a massive introvert. I will go weeks at a time and not talk to anyone, and I love it. But when you get on stage, you have to act like an extrovert so that people So every time you go, you play a part. Every person has masks they put on. Work out what works for you. In my case, do I have a couple of minutes? So I am a master of masks in many ways. I actually transitioned gender at the age of 28. I have seen the other side of the workforce and the education system. I am coming with a position of extreme privilege. I had an employer, customer, who I went to and was like, oh, can you just be a bit more aggressive and make sure people know your opinion? I went back 3 months later, post-gender transition, can I just sharply let people get their jobs done? That is not an isolated incident. I've gone to some of the world's biggest conferences and I've gone, oh, who are you here with? Oh, I'm a speaker. Oh, which sponsored slot? People presume. And you need to stumble over that when you can. And other times you just need to keep your mouth shut. And that sucks. But, as I say, my form of activism, I haven't said yet, my form of activism is to take that privilege and weaponize it to both beat other people that deserve it and to help others up. Not everyone can do that. Be very, very cautious of anyone like me who stands up here and says you can do all these wonderful things, because this is incredible survivor's bias. You do not see the people who fell along the way, who are like me, who are not like me, who did exactly the same things. It was not fair. But you don't have to fight fair.